Welcome to The Art of Being Unstoppable, the podcast where we will go beyond the ordinary and embrace the extraordinary. Be part of down-to-earth, no BS conversations where we will explore hot topics on love and money, relationships and business, beauty, and who we get to be with all that shit in between. With our insights and your actions, let's be unstoppable together. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Art of Being Unstoppable. In last podcast, we talked Vicky brought something up and it reminded us of the different levels of responsibility, and we thought it would be a great topic. This is probably one where you're going to want to get a journal or something to write on, because this literally can change your life. And I'm not joking when I say that. It is something that I learned that is how I operate in life. And this is what has people say to me, like, how did you overcome all of that? Like, most people could never deal with what you dealt with. How? This is how. So we're going to give this to you today. 4 levels of responsibility. Vicky, can you can you talk about the first level of responsibility? Because I think we all know this one.
It's funny.
Responsible.
Yes, exactly. And it's funny because one of my clients this week, this came up with her, and I was talking to her about, how we have to look at things in a different way sometimes to really understand. And the first level of responsibility was, I'm not responsible for anything. Life is happening to me. That happened to me. She did that to me. He did this to me. Everything is happening to me.
And we can even go,
No,
so many people say, and listen, I am not minimizing trauma.
oh
I
no,
am not saying,
no.
There's a lot of people that have experienced a lot of hardships in their life. And I had a conversation with somebody not too long ago. He's like, but you don't know. I got taken away from my parents. I lived in the system. I saw people die in front of me. And I said, how old were you? He's like, from the age of 12 to 20. I just saw da da da. And I'm like, how old are you now? And he's like, I'm in my 40s. And I'm like, why is it still impacting you now? It's done. And this is because first level responsibility is, it happened to me and I'm going to hang on to it for dear life. And it's part of, acknowledge me.
Yeah.
And this is
See me.
victim mentality.
Yeah. See me.
And see me. And I get that. But it's like, at what point do we let go of the past because it's not actually here, it's not happening, and move on with the future? So this is what I'm going to take, that extreme example, and show you, go through the different levels, because I think everybody at some point has experienced loss, death, trauma, like significant things, pain, suffering, because this is life. There's darkness in life. We cannot avoid those things. It's life happening. But the first level is, this is happening to me, and there's nothing I can do about it. And it's almost like our whole world revolves around living inside of that trauma. We don't move on from it. And this is a choice. And it's a choice because some people don't have the tools to move on. Yep. And in this episode, we want to give you some tools. If this is you right now and you're like, yeah, that's me. Everything. My boss did this and I'm going to hang on to it. Oh, I lost this. Or my husband cheated on me. My wife cheated on me. Like, all of these things. We're like, oh, now I'm not going to get into a relationship because of it.
Yeah.
You can shift from first level, and the second level is taking responsibility. This is seeing, okay, life is happening for me. There's a lesson here. And I want to make this distinction too. People confuse responsibility with cause and effect. I caused it. I'm responsible for it. This isn't what we're talking about. I want to make that really, really clear, because some people are like, well, I got to be responsible. responsibility is not like, you caused something to happen, you weren't responsible for it in
Yeah.
that sense. Responsibility is once one thing happens, how are you going to be responsible after it happened?
Right.
Okay? So you're not causing it to happen. So the second degree is you can see, okay, this trauma, this experience in that extreme situation where somebody saw somebody, you know, it's like, okay, maybe I'm supposed to learn a lesson here. Maybe I'm supposed to get out of this situation. Maybe I'm supposed to do something good with this. That's taking responsibility. Life is happening for me.
Yeah. And I mean, I get when we're in that when that trauma happens, when I lost my grandfather who was like my person when I was 16. And he was like my everything. I was an only child plus an only grandchild for 14 years. So I had just, and I was everything. Like he had this wallet he would throw out and show all these pictures of me, and I was his everything. And when he died, my life changed. Like how could this happen? Like, right? And then I realized when I moved to Windsor years later and I owned a salon with a partner, and her ex-husband passed away and they had 2 girls together, and the one girl was 16. And I realized at
Oh,
that point, I could relate with her because he was my person. My dad worked 2 jobs. He wasn't always home, so he was like that father figure to me, but I mean, he was I had him on this pedestal, as did she with her father, and to be able to just sit with her and let her feel her feelings and support her through that, I realized that it happened, but I got to then share, like, pay that forward with somebody else.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, when life is happening for you, no matter what, if you have this level of responsibility, it's like it's still something outside of ourselves, but
Mhm.
it's happening to teach me something, to
Yeah,
help us grow.
yeah,
But then the third level of responsibility is being responsible. This is not a doing. This isn't an action and this
no,
isn't happening. This is, I am being responsible, which means you become responsible. Life is happening through you. You are a mirror, you're a conduit. Everything is happening as a reflection. And this is a little bit deeper because this state of being responsible is like in that situation where there's trauma. What you just said is, oh, I didn't see it at the time. But by being responsible and seeing that, okay, this happened because it's here to elevate me in some way. It's here to help me step into a higher version of myself. It's just part of the process. That's pretty powerful. Like that third level, if you
mhm,
most people never get there, but
no,
that is a powerful place to be.
yeah,
Now, the fourth level, and this is like we're talking about 1% mentality. This is I am responsible for everything. I cause it and I source it to happen. So life is happening as me. I generate my reality. I have all the power and I'm not waiting for anybody else to create anything. So when that trauma happens and you say, and this is where people have a hard time wrapping their brain, why would I cause abuse? Why would I
yeah,
cause this
yeah,
to happen? And it's having certainty that it's part of your spiritual path, that this action is opening up yourself, expanding you for something you can't even see. So a couple podcasts ago, we talked about, my daughter with her making the decision to leave
yeah,
the volleyball team and stuff like that, and what she had to deal with her coach. Fourth level responsibility is that, okay, so because this happened and I am the creator of my reality, I've created this scenario so that I can prepare myself for something bigger, being in a man's world, being whatever I need to deal with. I'm setting this world up in order to help me elevate, to get to my next level. So, trauma. How many people say, "Okay, I source this into my life because there's something bigger than me at play here. There's somebody that I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to help other people, or I'm supposed to take this wisdom from that experience, transform it into energy,
Mhm.
and give that. I am a vessel. I am a conduit. I experienced this so that I can alleviate other people's traumas. This fourth level responsibility, somebody, you get into a car accident and you say, how did I source this? How, how did I cause and source this accident to happen in my life? What am I supposed to give away? And we don't think that way
No. And
because somebody's got to be victim,
yeah,
somebody's got to be guilty. Somebody most human
yeah.
beings, we operate on that knee jerk reaction.
And I want to bring this up because I know that there's people when we talked about this in previous when we've done our 90-day challenges and when we bring this up, people say, "Well, how do you say that when children are getting cancer or I had cancer or I lost my parents or how do you people want to know that. They want to know, well, I don't
Yeah.
understand that because why would I cause myself to have cancer and be the source of that? I know
So
the
let
answer,
me
and I mean, I understand this completely because 'cause we've worked through this. You worked through this with me when we first started working together, so I understand, but people will not understand this, and that's why I'm
Yeah, so
bringing
I
this up.
I think this is a perfect example. So there is a family in our community, and they had a son, Mason, who died of cancer at a very young age. And I'm like, at first it's really sad that such a young child and such a young family had to go through so much pain and suffering. But because that, what I believe is that he was put on this earth for that purpose. His soul was only supposed to be here for a short amount of time because there was something that his parents was supposed to get and give to the world. Now they have this nonprofit called Fight Like Mason.
Yeah.
They help other families. They give back to the community. It's like that one soul left this planet, but the impact of
Yes.
him leaving this has
Yes.
created an infinite ripple
Mhm.
in the world. And yes, it was painful for them to go through and they miss him. But what if his soul's purpose was to come, leave an impact like that? That was his only purpose. And to see that
Mhm.
ripple, now that same family could operate in first level responsibility.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, my son died and I can't live life. I'm going to go into a deep, dark depression. I'm going to hide. I'm not going to share. I'm not going to give back. I'm not going to rise above. But they didn't. They're like, this happened. And yes, we miss him. And yes, it's sad. But how do we take this sadness and how do we give back in such a profound way to impact so many more lives with what we've dealt with? That is a perfect example
Yeah.
of the fourth level of responsibility. Now, I do believe that when children, especially when young souls under the age of 12 pass away early, I do believe that it's because their soul's purpose was to make an impact, was to help somebody, us, elevate or give back. And it's hard to wrap your mind around that
Oh,
because people say, yeah, but what if it was you? What if you lost your daughters tomorrow? We know um,
yep.
how you love them. And I'd say, you know what? Everything's good. It's coming from God and it's here to elevate or to you know, teach us something. Maybe if I lost my daughter, my job would be to help prevent this from happening to other
Yeah.
families.
Yeah.
I know that I wouldn't stay stopped. I would grieve. I would miss that soul, but I also believe that this is part of life's process. So when people ask me, how did you deal with losing a multi seven-figure coaching business during the time when you lost your stepbrother and your dad, and you're going through a divorce, and because I had this distinction that I am the source and creator of my reality. And when I'm really responsible, I can see how I set it up that way. And I can see now in hindsight how it wasn't a setback, it was a set
A
up
setback.
for what I'm doing
Absolutely.
now.
Yep. Yep.
So it's like it's a different way of seeing life, but I don't know how to operate any differently now. Everything is perfect.
Yeah.
Clients say no. It's great. I'm supposed
Yep.
to learn something.
Yep.
Not
Absolutely.
having money, having the worst last year was my worst year in business in 9 years, my
Yeah.
worst year. And it was my best year
Mhm.
because in that year, I got to have compassion for myself and for others. I got to see what it's like to, I never went without. Okay. I'm not going to say that. But I also, when I was 19 years old, was taking home $60,000. I never had to worry. I mean, that was a long time ago. I'm 49 years old,
Mhm. But
So,
that's the thing though,
um,
Tina. That's the difference right there is it happened because you are source and creator of your reality. And that is the truth. And you're responsible for that. Even in our last podcast, when we talked about Tina frickin' Brigley, you're responsible for that. And you said that. Right? You're
yeah.
responsible for what is happening in your life. And do we make mistakes? Absolutely. But you have taught me to fail forward. We don't fail backwards,
Mm,
we fail forward. So when things happen, like when I did get sick, I never looked at it like I was going to die. I never looked at it like I didn't, because I knew that whatever was happening to me, even this was even before I started coaching, that whatever was happening to me was the way it was supposed to be. And
mhm,
I get to have feel like manifest positivity. Everything's going to be good. And if it isn't, it's okay. Like I believed that. And then when I lost my parents, I thought, this is wrong. But then I realized when you taught me the four levels of responsibility that I was working and doing and for everybody else for so long. This happened
mhm,
for a reason. And I
mhm,
got to look within, figure out what that reason was. And then it's taken me some time to really understand. But knowing that I'm responsible for everything in my life has made me go through this, feel the feels, get through this journey, and be able to help others going through the journeys that they're going through. And I think that it's a powerful feeling when you know that you can own what's happening in your life. It's powerful. And it's enlightening. Yeah, no matter how hard or whatever we think things are, I truly do believe that. I truly do.
yeah. 1,000,000%. And I want to reiterate this. What happened is what happened. Your parents dying is what happened.
Yep,
You
it
did
is.
not source, you know what I mean?
No,
People are like,
no,
"Oh
no,
my
no,
gosh, I forced my parents to die. I created their death."
no,
No,
no.
but what happens after, what you do with that is your responsibility.
That's right.
Not them
Exactly.
dying. You didn't source their death,
No,
okay?
no.
What happens after, we get to be responsible for.
Mhm.
How do we, because of what happened, what can we be responsible for? Which is, if I am the source and creator of my reality, that happened in my reality,
Mhm.
but what do I do now? Okay,
Yep.
so I don't want anybody to be like, "Oh, I caused my parents to die. I
No,
caused my,"
absolutely not.
no,
And
that's
that
not what we're
distinction
talking.
is important. That is very important. And that's why I brought up the children but I'm so glad you talked about Fight Like Mason because it is so true. Just like that mother, MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, like she lost, right? That is why it
Yeah.
happened. And yes, we have a choice. We all have a choice. We can hold on to the shit that we have from our past, carry it in a backpack on our backs and let it bring us down and look at the world like this happened to me and fill up that backpack. Or we can take that backpack off, own it, realize that it is what it is, and then be responsible for how we're going to live our lives because of what we've been through. We get to choose.
And think about yeah, and think about this, right? And I like how you said mothers against, mothers against drunk drivers. Um, Sometimes there is such a bigger force at play here. Look at the impact of these people that have gone through so much tragedy. I even think about that guy. I can't remember his first name, but Walsh, his son was
Yes.
kidnapped, and then
Hmm.
he created this show about looking for
Yep.
predators. Being responsible is like, what if your essence? Because last podcast we talked about accessing our true self. What if our true self in those situations is to be an advocate for something or to
Hmm.
be, the voice? And that happened because you were always meant to be that voice, but you weren't listening to your true self. And the universe will give you bigger tests and bigger tests because your true self is going to come out.
Yeah.
Um, if not in this physical world, maybe the next physical, like whatever you believe in, but like your purpose, your essence is going to eventually come to the surface.
Hmm.
Now, if those whispers you don't pay attention to, um, if they turn into bricks, that's what it could look like. It's
Yeah.
like, no, this is where you're supposed to go. You're
That's right.
not listening.
Yeah.
So let me give you this and let me give you this, because I can see that too. My true essence was 100% unconstrained, sharing my light and my authenticity with the world. And in my old business partnership, they kept dimming the light, dimming the light.
Yeah.
Shut up and do what you're told. Don't rock the boat. Stop doing this. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like dimming, dimming, dimming. The universe was like, whoa, it's time for us to intervene. We're going to like knock you down so that you're forced to see your light. You yourself are going to see this, but we're going to put up the roadblocks, sister,
Yeah.
because what you're supposed to give to the world is bigger than this right now.
That's right.
And this is the thing. Um, Somebody said to me, yeah, I live fourth level responsibility all the time. I never get knocked down. I never did. And I said to her, with all due respect, consider your game is not very big. She's like, what? I'm like, if you're not like, if you just think you know it all and you're always doing this and you're always right, you're being very comfortable because when you're really living this, really embodying it, there's going to be tests along the way and they're pretty significant.
Oh,
So if
right?
it's like, oh no, it's easy. Really? Okay, it's easy if you're playing an easy game in life, but if you're playing a big game, there's going to be big tests.
That's right.
And if you're telling me, yeah, that you've overcome the big
Mhm.
tests, kudos. But I was just like, well, tell me more. I got really curious. Tell me
Mhm.
more. Well, I don't ever do that. I'm like, oh gosh. Here we go. I'm like, okay, this is not, guys, this is not, you know, this is 1% mentality we're talking about here.
Yeah.
99% of people listening right now will never grasp this concept,
No,
will never embody it and
no,
practice it
no.
because it's effing painful.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it
you
is.
know, but it's a practice, it's a skill set. It's not mindset.
No,
This is not mindset. You can't way you can't positive think your way into this. You gotta be in the flames, so to speak. It's a skill set. Fourth level responsibility is developing the skill and the muscle little by little by little until, it is embodied and you can live life like this. Um,
when you say that too, I
but it,
wanna bring this up because I remember you saying I'm trying to remember exactly. I mean, you say this often. How did I source this? How did I source this? You always say that. And it's a beautiful thing, I'm gonna say, because it's really taught me that as well, like learning, okay, so why is this in my awareness? How did I source this? But it can be the biggest roadblock for you. And you're like, okay, you can have your moment. And then you ask yourself, how did I source this? And if we can just give that little bit of a nugget right there, how did you source this? If you can look at something that's happened and then ask yourself that question just once, honestly, like you said, it's a practice, it's a skill set, it's not a given, but we get to also step out of that comfort zone. Like, this to me was something very, very large for me. And it took me a long time to understand it. But the more I understand it, the more I see it, I'm like, okay, I see. And it is, how did I source this? Okay, okay, what is this bringing to me? Why am I seeing this? Why is this happening? And it's a
Yeah,
good thing
yeah.
because I used to be a very much, I needed to understand everything all the time. Like, why are you doing this? What's going to happen? Like, and not so much anymore. I'm kind of allowing things to happen, and I'm seeing the flow of the way things go. Then I get to make my decisions and my choices, because a lot of the times I'm just like, okay, right? So
Uh-huh.
knowing that you can source this, and knowing that when something is brought into your awareness, that if you do go through these 4 levels of responsibility and really practice this, like, even if it's just asking yourself that one question, how did I source this? I think you'll see things just a little bit differently. I know I have.
Oh,
I know I
yeah.
have, and I know that you've taught me that. And I mean, you're consistent. You're very consistent with things, like, so it's a wonderful thing because I learned from that. Being consistent is key.
Well, somebody asked me, does your brain ever shut off? Like, are you never thinking about personal development and growth? Like, do you ever just get sick and tired of like being in your head all the time? And I said, no, because I feel that these are tools for living. And I live with a lot of freedom and ease. And I believe that everybody can have freedom and ease and have the personal power to be unstoppable by using these tools. They're just tools. I'm not in my head. In fact, it might appear that I'm in my head but no, I'm just always using the tools. That's it.
Yeah.
And I see it as I'm using the tools, and the tools are to live a great life. And I see sometimes people that are on the spiritual path that when they're out in the public, they are one way. And it's very, artificial. Then when they're behind closed doors, when people aren't necessarily, when the cameras aren't on, they're totally different.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I've done that. I've been that person that I haven't been completely authentic. But I said, I want to practice being more
Yeah.
authentic, and I'm going to
Yeah.
fall and mess up. And,
Yeah.
but I want to practice using the tools. And it sucks in dating relationships, right? Because when you are using the tools, people perceive it that aren't at the same energetic level as, oh my God, you're just always this, or you're always that, or you're too much for this and too much for that. I'm like, maybe I am, but my purpose is bigger than this menial conversation that we're having right now.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
if you can't handle this light, that's okay.
That's okay.
You don't have to be
Nope.
in the light, but
Mm-mm.
I just feel that the more people that have tools, I truly believe we can shift the consciousness in the world
Yeah.
just by, and I do believe that I could be that voice, and it's not ego. It's like, I'm willing to share. I'm willing to do the hard work so I can give away the tools. And I know
Yeah.
you're the same way.
Yeah.
I'll do
Absolutely.
the hard work to give away the tools, because in the sharing, we truly can, as a collective, we can shift the consciousness of the world.
Yeah.
And what a great gift to give back.
Right.
you know,
Yes,
just
absolutely.
simple
I
tools.
I really love this conversation. I know it's a little bit can be confronting for some people, absolutely. But again, if you can just take one nugget from what we share, or if you want to learn more, let us know. We're here. We would love to either have you on our podcast, work with you, or hear your thoughts and feelings. Like we really do. We want your feedback. And we do appreciate you, and we appreciate our followers and our listeners. So until next time.
Yeah, and I wanna say too before we end, like, if you got value from this, don't be stingy. Share it with people that
Yes,
you also believe
please.
can get value from it, because this is truly, it's not just what you hear and get for yourself, but it's what you can give for others, not to boost our ratings or anything,
No.
but really our intention is to share this knowledge and this wisdom with everybody.
Yeah.
And it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to share.
No.
But it could be the thing that shifts somebody in your life and opens up their desire to receive more knowledge and wisdom and more consciousness. So, wanted to say that. Thank
Thank you
you
for
for
that.
being here, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, friends, that is the end of our episode today. If you love this episode, hit the subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And please share us with your friends and tag us on your socials at The Art of Being Unstoppable. So for today, have yourself a beautiful day and let's be unstoppable together. See you next time.